Endurance Junkie Podcast, episode 77. Hey Junkies, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me on a new episode of the Endurance Junkie Podcast, the show where I will be interviewing some of the fastest, smartest and most inspiring people active in the endurance world today. Anton Cooper is a New Zealand cross-country mountain biker who races for the Track Factory racing team. He's a 2015 World Under-23 cross-country mountain bike champion, 2014 Commonwealth Games cross-country mountain bike gold medalist, and the 2012 World Junior cross-country mountain bike champion. At only 23 years old, Anton is currently ranked 6th in the world and has his sights firmly set on a gold medal at the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. Anton, thanks for coming on the show today. Can you start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your sporting background growing up in New Zealand?
Yeah, well, it's going back a while now since I started it all. But I suppose I just used to ride with my dad, really, and that's where it really began. But I was always into sports, I was into cross-country running and tennis, soccer, or football for the Europeans. So that was something that I was always into. And I suppose cycling and that was just something I did in the back garden for a bit of fun. I used to build tracks and trails and had like seesaws and rock gardens and everything that I'd just go and build with Dad. So that was being the only son in the family. I think Dad, enjoyed doing the outdoor stuff with me. And I guess I don't know, just developed that passion for it a bit more through doing that with him. And but yeah, it wasn't really till I got a bit older, and I was a very good tennis player and cross country runner actually, and wasn't until I got to high school that I ended up dropping the cross country running. That was halfway through high school, when I was 15 or 16, maybe even 17, and then tennis I dropped that when I was sort of 14 or 15. So these things I kind of just started focusing more and more and specializing in the mountain bike department. My first race I was 11 and I won that, so I actually ended up lying about my age to get into the race, and we got me in there and I won it. So I decided that I wanted to do more of that. I enjoyed winning a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then I'd always competitive from a young age, so in through that cross country running, I guess I had a good engine, a good fitness, and just wanted to do more of that.
Yeah. So were there a lot of races around at that time?
Oh, not too much. There was the local events, and it was just the regional secondary schools champs that I entered. And so, yeah, I guess it was one of the local events there. And there was a lot of how do I call it, just club events, you know what I mean? People would turn up just for fun. And I suppose the real racing and the professional side of it didn't really exist in New Zealand. And perhaps, I would say it still doesn't really exist in New Zealand. It's very much a European-based sport and North American, so but especially European. So I'm kind of there's only one other professional cross-country rider in New Zealand currently.
Okay.
But yeah, racing-wise, the numbers haven't progressed. There's still some of those, club ones and those private, the more corporate style events where people turn up in thousands, but not so much the professional element to it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a pretty rugby oriented country, I guess, New Zealand.
Yeah.
So what when did it become really serious for you, and how did you get that dream to become an elite or pro cyclist and allowing you to travel to Europe and to the US to race mountain bikes?
Yeah, like I said, I was involved in lots of sports, and so I was always competitive, I suppose, naturally, and I always wanted to win and do well and prove myself. So I guess when the opportunity came, it was just a gradual progression from local events to national events to my kind of continental Oceania champ events, and suddenly I was the next step, then the natural progression would be the international stuff. And so World Cups, and I started looking, further abroad, and when I was under 19, and went from there really. So I went to Europe when I was 16, and started racing over there, and I've always had that drive, I suppose. But when I realised I could do well at it, it probably just motivated me more, and went from there.
Yeah. And were you coached at that time, or did you try to figure out everything by yourself? Because you're making it from a local race and at age 11 and winning that to going to Europe at age 16 and racing probably the stronger guys here in Europe. There's a bit of a gap there.
Cool. Yeah, no, of course. It was like the great unknown. My coach, I actually started working with when I think I was 13, and he has a background in like triathlon, and he still does, he's still into that, does the odd Ironman and whatnot. But so his background is triathlon, and it was actually through my local bike shop. There was a triathlete that worked there, and he basically set me up with this coach, and I've been with him ever since, and he works really well for me. So. But he's developed more into a mountain bike coach now, and is he works with a few other athletes. So yeah, but he does the trick. We've obviously built a good relationship over the years. I know him well, he knows me well, and I suppose that's what really counts as a coach.
Yeah. Okay. So how was that first trip to Europe then?
It was interesting. Like I stayed with a Swiss French family, and they didn't speak any any English really, apart from the younger daughter. And I guess she was a few years older than me, and was at work most days, so I didn't really have anyone to socialise with or talk with. But they're a great host family, and basically let me stay there and took me to some of the races, and that was the first step into the international scene, and is what kind of got me noticed. And I won the first World Cup I entered, which obviously turned a few heads, being this unknown Kiwi, especially when I won by such a large margin. And then the next World Cup I did the same, and then I got second at World Champs. So for this kind of young Kiwi to come over there and do that, I think that relatively, pretty much unsupported, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And got me noticed, and got me on a team for the year after that.
Yeah, so that was 2012, and then you were picked up by the Trek team. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was Trek World Racing at the time. So I met this guy called Martin Whiteley, and Martin's kind of like, well, he's been around a very long time in the mountain bike scene, worked with the biggest and best teams in the sport, and the biggest and best athletes pretty much. So it was a huge honour to get picked up by him. And at that stage, he had a group of, 5, 6, 7 athletes who he worked with personally as their personal manager. But he also ran the Trek World Racing team, contracted by Trek, the bicycle brand itself. And so he was contracted by them to run the team, and he wanted me on the team the next year as an up-and-comer. And I agreed, obviously, and went from there.
Yeah, it was pretty successful, I think. You won the junior world title in 2012. Commonwealth Games in 2014. Was that an unexpected win? Because you're pretty young at that time.
Yeah, 2012 was like one of those years where it just all went perfect. Though I didn't lose a race. I don't think I just won everything I entered, and by large margins. And then World Champs was like the icing on the cake. 2013 was like a real tough year. I had some illness and stuff to deal with. And then it was also my first year under 23, so that was a bit of a shock to the system, I suppose. And then, so I guess 2014 when I won Commonwealth Games, it was a bit more out of the blue. It was a huge result for me, but it was one that I wasn't really expecting. So to come out and perform there and get that win meant a lot.
And did that open extra doors for you, regarding sponsorship and stuff like that?
A little bit here, yeah. Locally, it did. It's such a big reach here in New Zealand. It's like, it's almost equal reach to the actual Olympics, and it's just a huge event. So winning that was obviously got me noticed by a lot of people, and so that helped with sponsorships. I picked up a couple of deals probably because of that, which was really good.
Yeah. Okay. You backed it up with another World Cup or World Championship in 2015. This time in the under 23 category. And then your next goal was probably the Olympics in Rio. But that really didn't go according to plan. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, under 23 Worlds in 2015 was a big one, and then it all went a bit pear-shaped from that. So I went from this massive high to this huge low, and missing out on the Olympics was really tough to deal with. But looking back on it now, it's something I suppose I can understand a bit more. And at the time, I just didn't really know why I was performing badly or why I couldn't hit the numbers that I could in the years before, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And I was getting sick so often and just felt really drained. So I was dealing a bit with that, with chronic fatigue, but also getting sick, upper respiratory infections really often, and they were long lasting too. I just felt always on the edge and always like I was close to getting sick. So that was tough to get on top of. But when we did get on top of it, when we figured it out, it was all a bit late for surgery and then to try make a run at the Olympics, because we figured that out like 2 months before, and selection was due like 2 months before. So, or maybe even, I don't know the exact dates and timeframes, but just meant I had to, once I knew it was probably good for my head to go, hey, there is actually a problem. This is the solution, and here's how we go about it.
Yeah, that made it sort of easier to deal with the disappointment.
Yeah, it was a much easier pill to swallow after that, and it's not something I dwell on at all. It's like I'm still young. I'll probably, in theory, still have 2 good more shots at the Olympics. So yeah, I'm not worried about it. Obviously, I'll be pretty pissed off if I miss the next one for some other reason as well, but I don't plan on that happening.
And did it take you a while to get back to your old level there after that chronic fatigue problem?
Honestly, I had like 4 months off, and then the surgery and the recovery from that. But once I started riding again and training again, it really didn't take me long to get back to like probably 90-95%. Adding like the final 5%, I think that came, once I started racing again. And you get back that edge, but I couldn't replicate that in training. I couldn't quite finish that 5% off, but probably the time from like February through to April, I really noticed that I got that 5% back, and that was just from doing 4 or 5 races, really.
Yeah. 2016 was also the year that you turned to the elite category. You pretty were much dominant in the under 23s and the juniors. Did you see any differences between riding those younger categories and then the elites?
Yeah, for sure. There's a big jump from like junior to under 23, and there's your really big jumping in from under 23 to elite. And I suppose each year group, and it's funny in those year group categories, sometimes you get a couple of years in under 19 where the fields are quite weak, and sometimes you get a couple of years where the field's really strong. And it's the same with under 23 in a way. But when you get to elite, there's never weak years. It's always tough athletes. If one has a bad year, like there's 10 more that step up and perform. So, but that's not quite the case in under 23 and under 19. You just have so much depth, and it's faster racing. It's more aggressive as you go up the ranks. Really, that's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, okay. So how was your 2017 season then?
Yeah, 2017's been awesome. Obviously, it's been like the comeback year, so wasn't too sure of, I suppose, what to expect. But coming into it with that mindset probably helped, and just everything was fresh and new and exciting. I was really driven to perform, really, and just make amends for, or just prove, I suppose, to everyone what I was capable of, because I knew it deep down what I could do. Just going about and doing the business, and it started off really well, winning nationals and then Oceanias and heading overseas into the US and winning those races too, and then off to Europe. So it just started in the perfect way, and I just gained confidence from that and took that into the World Cups, and ended up 7th overall in the World Cup series, and my current world ranking is 6th in elite. So that probably highlights the consistency of my year, and Not many people can say they've achieved that much, so I'll be pretty happy with that if I never do better, but obviously I want to go and crack on from here again.
Yeah, you had a bronze medal there at one of those World Cup races. I guess that's the goal for 2018 to hit a few more podiums.
Yeah, for sure. I want to hit a few more podiums. I'd love to win a World Cup or even World Champs. So and complete that, I suppose, the trifecta of the rainbow jerseys. Under 19, under 23 and elite. That's something I really want to tick off in my career. Obviously, Olympic gold as well. The next Olympics will be the dream come true, but we'll focus on next year and take it each year at a time.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident that things can go well. There's no reason they can't, especially after this year and coming back strongly from the setbacks in 2016.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your life as an elite. You're at home now in Christchurch, New Zealand. A lot of these World Cups, as you mentioned before, it's a pretty European and North American sport, and I think majority of the World Cup races are in Europe, and I think there's Mount St. Anne in Canada. So you're in New Zealand for a couple of months of the year, and then you do some local races, and then once the European summer hits, you come to Europe and you base yourself out here.
Yeah. That's tended to be the case the last few years, since I've been professional anyway, actually. And if you want to do the full season, that's generally the best way to go about it, is to actually, once the European season starts, is to head there and to base yourself there for the full season. So much time and energy is consumed in travelling, especially if you only have a couple of weeks at home to turn that around. And New Zealand's a long way from anywhere, so it makes it a special country, but it just means as a pro athlete it's hard to return home between races. So you're always living out of a suitcase. But I would tend to spend sort of the summer in New Zealand, or the fringe seasons anyway, and go September through till March. I'll be based in New Zealand, and the rest of that I'll be typically based in Germany.
Yeah, okay.
And races from there.
Can you sort of compare that the lifestyle that you have to the road cyclists, where they're all with the team and the mechanics and the managers and stuff like that? Is that something similar, or are you a bit more?
No, it's a lot different. Like my team is very focused on individual focused. We only have 3 riders on the team. We have a female, Emily Batty from Canada, another Spanish rider, an elite man, Sergio Montagon, and then myself, an elite also. So there's 3 of us, and probably 5 staff. So really, I don't know, it's well focused on us. We get all the support we need, and I really enjoy that. It's a much more personal relationship with your mechanics, the team boss, your soigneur, and your obviously teammates as well. So I enjoy that side of it.
Yeah. So, but
typically. Sorry.
Yeah. When you guys are in Europe for these World Cup races, you stick together. You're all based in Germany at the time.
No, like normally, obviously, my Spanish teammate, he goes home for pretty much all in between the races, and actually my Canadian teammate Emily, she goes home as well. Obviously, Canada being not too far from Europe, relative to New Zealand at least. And so they typically go home, but still, I spend most of the time in Germany with my girlfriend there. She's German, so it's a good place to be based.
Oh, okay, so it's a little solo work then.
Yeah, for sure, and it's pretty central to all those races, really. So I link up with the team, and we'll basically, if there's a World Cup that's a week apart, I'll spend that week with the team for sure and travel with them, and maybe have a couple of weeks on the road with the team. But between that, I'll always return to my base in Germany.
Yeah. So what does a typical training week look like for you? Is it just riding, or do you do gym work and other stuff?
Yeah. In the season, obviously off season at the moment. I've only done a couple of I've had a couple of months, taking it a bit more easy than I normally would, and I'll start easing into it again now, and ramping up in another couple of weeks or so to some longer miles and back in the gym. I'll ride generally 7 days a week. Sometimes I'll have a complete rest day. and also, two days a week in the gym. I mostly do just core strength work and work on my body balance, making sure that my alignments were good and everything like that. So just to keep the machine in shape, and I do most of the hard graft on the bike, really.
Yeah, okay. How important is nutrition for you guys?
It's massive, and powder weight's very crucial. And I'm coming into that time of year where I need to obviously start thinking about that very seriously, and thinking about, well, just doing the right things so that I arrive at the start of the season, sort of February, at the perfect weight, and I'm not trying to cut weight too late in the season, especially when the races start rolling around and the travel. So that's very important. And then once you reach that weight, it's about obviously maintaining it and putting enough energy in to do your training sessions properly and recover well from races, but also race days and preparing for races. That's equally as important.
Do you work with a nutritionist there? Because I mean, there's a lot of things going on in diets, with low carbs, high fat, and gluten free and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't do anything crazy. Yeah, like, I keep it real simple. Moderation for sure is pretty key when I'm in that season. And I eat a lot of good lean meats, and obviously rice and veggie potatoes. Kumara, which is a good Kiwi. It's like a sweet potato. I love that when I'm here. And just general a good balanced diet. There's nothing that I go, I'm not gluten free or anything. No fad diets that I'm into. So I enjoy keeping it simple, and some good Kiwi food in the belly does wonders.
Good stuff. What about the mental part of the game? Is that important in mountain biking?
Yeah, for sure. I suppose any elite level sport, the mental part of it's massive, especially when you start racing against 100 odd other riders on the start line, and probably 30 of them capable of making the podium, and probably at least 15 of them even winning the race. They're all probably very similarly naturally talented, and also work equally hard. So a lot of it comes down to how you get out of the gate on the day, and how your head is. And that's such a huge part of it, And just being in the right space at the right time, and having the right mindset going into it. Some days you're ready. It doesn't matter, you don't even think about how your legs might be. You just know you're ready. And other days you turn up and you're just not quite there, and you have to change that mindset somehow before the start gun goes. Because if you're in the race and that starts happening, you start doubting yourself, and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. Do you work with people there to help you with that aspect?
No, to be honest, I don't. I've never really worked with anyone regarding my, mental strength or whatever you want to call it. But I feel like I'm quite headstrong myself. I always have been. I've come out of some pretty tough times and bounced back from that. And I don't feel like that's something that's a big concern for me. Like, even when the going gets tough, I still have managed to find ways to pull through. And a bit of a fighter always in the races. So if the going's tough, I'll still be fighting right to the end.
Okay. You're still a young lad, 23. But what do you see as your biggest achievement in your career so far, and what's your biggest regret or your biggest disappointment?
Biggest achievement would probably be just coming back from what I had to deal with last year. And even it was an ongoing thing. It was for a few years. It was building up. I was just getting frustrated, and obviously I had some. From 2013 onwards is when it really started. I actually missed in the space from 2013 to the end of 2016. So the 13, 14, 15, 16 season, those 4 years, I missed more races because of illness than I was able to start. And that was hugely frustrating, not really knowing why. And 2016 was when it really came to a head. So missing Rio and that whole process would have been the lowest point in my career, the most disappointing. And the way I've bounced back from that, and it's probably taking, that third and at the World Cup in Germany there was probably one of the highest moments in my career to feel like that's what I've gone through, the mountain I've climbed to get back there. And to be at the highest level in the sport now, not just age group categories, but to actually be with the elite guys. On that given day, I was, third in the world against the very best riders there. That's a huge moment, and probably one of the proudest ones.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we're let me figure out 2.5 years out of the Tokyo Olympics 2020. What do you feel you have to do between now and then to get a chance to win that gold medal?
I feel like I learned so much this year that in the way I was progressing, everything kind of made sense, the way it played out. If I had a kind of off day, I knew why. And if I had a really good day, I also understood why. Previous years I've just been like, why has this happened and why has that happened? It's just made sense this year, and that's that consistency because of the health. I've also feel like I've built a good base from the race season that I've able to I've been able to train the whole year, I've been able to race the whole year, and that's going to hold me in good stead the next years and the years after that as well. So it's a natural progression, I think. It's the age that I'll have another couple more years under the belt. I'll be a couple more years stronger, be a couple more years smarter and more race savvy and experienced. And that's going to help to win a gold in Tokyo.
Do you think it's going to be possible already in Tokyo, or are you more focused on 2024? Oh, no, yeah, 2024.
No, definitely focused on Tokyo. I believe it can happen then. I don't see any reason why not. I know you look at the probably the average age of the top 30 riders is over 30 years old, but there's a few riders in there, myself included, and a couple other younger guys, sort of mid-20s, who are showing that they can be able to race in the top 10, and I reckon we're going to only get stronger in the next 2 or 3 years. Come Tokyo, we'll be definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I wouldn't write anyone off, but I'm going to give it a good crack, that's for sure, and I believe it can happen.
Yeah. Would anything less than a medal be a disappointment there?
Well, you probably have to ask me that again, just to see how the situation is like a month or so before the race. But at this stage, I don't know. I think if I was, fourth or fifth, I would be pretty satisfied with that. From a current perspective, I'd be very happy with that. But it's hard to say would I be disappointed with it, because I might have had a blinder of a performance and really put stuff together and came home fourth or fifth. I've got to still be satisfied with that somehow. But I'd be probably more peeved off with the second place than the third place. Aren't the second place getters always more pissed off than the third place getters? But yeah, obviously the gold's the one I dream of, that's for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for your time, Anton. It's getting pretty late in Christchurch. I'm not going to keep you up much longer. How can people get in touch with you if they want to? I suppose the best way will be Instagram or Twitter. Yeah. Okay, I'll put those links up on the show notes page. Feel free to give some love to your sponsors and partners.
Ah, sweet. Yeah, I mean, obviously big thanks to Trek Factory Racing, my current team. It's been great working with those guys, and I'm with them through next season as well. My local sponsors as well, I work with Subaru here in New Zealand, which is awesome. It's kind of a great car for a mountain biker to have. Oakley Eyewear, and then my local supermarket chain is New World. They're a New Zealand-based branch, and yeah, good food and good people.
Awesome. Anything else you want to plug?
No, that's all good, man.
All right, cool. Last one to finish off. Tomorrow morning, you walk out. You walk outside the house and you find a lottery ticket that ends up winning $10 million. What do you do?
Ooh, I love cars. I really love cars. I wouldn't go anything crazy like Ferraris or Lamborghinis. I don't really like them as much, but I would certainly get a nice full drive, nice Holden. So down under car brand. You can't get them in Europe. And I would probably build a new house with be fully tailored around cycling. So I'd have like a gym and big garage for the bikes and awesome, just place where you could rock in and hose your bike off and warm shower outside. That'd be awesome.
Cool. Good stuff. Thanks for your time, Anton. Much appreciated. And good luck for next season. And we'll keep an eye out for you for 2020. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, bro.
Cheers. And thanks for listening to this episode with Anton Cooper. If you're into cross-country mountain biking, make sure to keep an eye out for this young Kiwi, as he might be the one to break the European dominance in the sport. If you like these little interviews and don't want to miss any future episodes, head over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe to the show. Feel free to also visit the website, junkiepodcast.com, for the complete archives. And there's a contact section at the bottom, so feel free to send me your comments and suggestions for possible future guests. We'd really love to hear from you guys. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you'll join me next time. Cheers.